sightings of ghosts, an abandoned insane asylum, creepy ass dolls, werewolves, and witches, honey. Do not obey. Stay woke. Nobody's gonna stop me. This is real. Do not obey. Stay woke. Scary as hell.
This past 2022, I got a call. It was a confidential call. A young man was working with the work site on Broughton Street, and he was digging, the bulldozer or whatever, and he discovered bodies on Broughton Street. I asked questions like, how many? About a half a block. Were they in caskets? Were they in clothing? Did you see any bodies? They were all in a row, Sister Pat, and they had this sharpish colored covering over them that was brown. I said, that's cheesecloth. You see, there were no cemeteries for enslaved people from 1748 to 1851. So if you died downtown in the planter's house, he just dug a hole in his backyard 6 feet deep, wrapped your body in cheesecloth and dumped you, took the shovel, put the dirt down, and watch this. He'd flip it over and just smooth it out. So you have lots and lots of unmarked burials downtown. Well, the project manager, I can say this now, said, don't tell anyone. And if you tell someone, you are on probation for a felony. You're going to go back to jail. So he was so afraid he would not tell me where they were, what part of Broughton Street. I listened to the story. I talked to some of the friends. They said he's very afraid. So I went down there myself. It was just beginning to get dark that evening. And I walked Broughton Street from Barnard and Broughton all the way down to Bull. And I was able to actually get into the project site. It didn't have a no trespassing sign. So I was able to enter the gate. And I walked the area, and as I walked the area, I said my prayers. I felt my ancestors' spirits. I said, I know you're here somewhere. I was very sad. I know you're here. And so as I began to walk, I could see where the project had dug in, and I could see where the project manager was rushing to put these rocks on top. It was like a fast-paced project. Let's get the gravel, and let's just do this over. So I know we were running out of time. I walked, and when I got to the corner of Bull and Broughton, it's like my whole energy changed. It's like my heart began to race. I said, they're in this area somewhere. 2 or 3 days passed. No one would give us the video, and so I called up the county coroner. I said, if I find these bodies, can you stop this project? He said, yes, but I have to have some evidence. We had no evidence.
Hey, my beautiful people. So everybody seems to think that Savannah, Georgia is very haunted. And I am here to disagree. I think that they amp up the hauntings in Savannah, Georgia because of tourists. But Savannah, Georgia, again, is not one of the most haunted places in Georgia. Not at all. Now, is there spiritual activity in Savannah, Georgia? Most definitely. But hauntings, not as much, and I'm going to tell you why. So when I went to Savannah, I did not get a sense of anything. But there were only 2 things that pulled me. The first one is this house right here. It's on 127 East Gordon Street in Savannah, Georgia. Now, I'm going to give you some information about this house, not from anything that I read, but what came to me that night after I seen the house. So there is a dwelling in this house by some Black Americans that used to be slaves. They came to me at night and brought me to the house, and they gave me a tour of the house. Now, all these people are deceased. So I enjoyed the tour of the house, and after I finished, you see the little part that's under the stairs? I wanted to go out there and to sit down. I went to go get a chair because I was going to spend some time. When they realized what I was doing, they stopped me in my tracks. They was like, you cannot do this. You cannot sit out here. So, of course, I couldn't sit down out there. So, you know what this tells me? This tells me that when tourists are around, it's so touristy that they have to hide themselves. So nobody is haunted in Savannah. There is spiritual activity going on, but they do not haunt you. They don't want you to see them. They're tired of you trying to see them. So they keep themselves hidden until they feel it's okay to come out.
Paranormal evidence ever caught on camera. This picture was submitted by one of my followers, and it comes from a haunted slaves quarters in Savannah, Georgia. I'll zoom in here in just a moment, or you can take screenshots, zoom in, do whatever you need to do. The story behind this picture is actually very interesting. The guy who submitted this to me, one of my followers, he and his wife were in Savannah on one of the paranormal ghost tours. As they were just walking through, taking pictures, he said that this picture actually came from a live photo, but he's not able to access the cloud where this is backed up anymore, but he took screenshots of this white mist. I felt like that's so cool because in the live photo it was just a white mist, but in the screenshots you can clearly see someone, and you can, especially the face, you can make out the face. You can make out more detail here. I've zoomed in, like you can clearly see what looks like a man's face. He also said that many years ago, when this was a slave's quarters, that there was a fire and many of them perished. Savannah isn't the most haunted city in the U.S. for no reason. This is amazing. If you have any kind of paranormal evidence you would like to share, my email is listed in my bio. Let me know what you think in the comments.
Y'all remember my story from yesterday on how I worked for SCAG, and that SCAG always buys up all of the haunted and historic buildings and turn them into like classrooms or dorm rooms. Well, today I'm at a whole nother building. We are at a building called Turner. This is Turner House. It's also built on a marsh land. Turner House is one of our students' dorm rooms, where mostly it'd be like juniors and some freshmen. Well, today there's no kids here. It's break, it's empty. Nobody's here but me. But as I went on my break today, this is what I heard. If you listen real closely, you heard footsteps and you heard a door close behind me. Also, something else weird happened. Hold on.
It did it again, but louder and sound like it was running.
A lot of people can confirm that the city is beautiful by day and far more sinister by night. And a lot of people have questioned over the years, what is it about Savannah that captures all these different souls and spirits and trap them there? Like, why do they stick around? But y'all do gotta realize there has been several bloody battles, all kinds of deadly diseases, and lots of mysterious murders that has taken place in Savannah, Georgia over the years. Until the start of the Civil War, Georgia's first city was very dependent on slave labor. And Savannah played a huge role in the Atlantic slave trade. So you gotta think, all these different slaves from all different parts of Africa is coming here, bringing their religion, their culture. They're doing voodoo and hoodoo and practicing all this different stuff in this one city. So that means the city got a lot of culture and history and a lot of pain and torture as well. But in Savannah, you can also do lots of different ghost tours and just tour these different haunted bed and breakfasts and hotels. I actually used to live near Savannah, so I've did a few of the ghost tours, and when I tell y'all, at nighttime, the city has this very heavy feeling, and it is actually very creepy.
We arrived at the house, We then proceed to all go upstairs to bring our luggage up. I walk through the primary bathroom in the bedroom with our kids, and my husband is behind us. Immediately after my husband walked through the doorway connecting the two rooms, he was shoved so forcefully and abruptly he fell to the ground and didn't even put his arms out to catch his fall. He fell flat on his face with his arms to his side as if he had no control. A few seconds later, he gets up and is in the fetal position, shaking. I feel like I need to make it known that my husband is a veteran and did multiple tours in Iraq and has experienced things that no one ever should have to. He's not easily scared or fearful of anything, so to see him shaken up was wild. At this point, I'm trying to get my kids out of this situation when our 5-year-old proceeds to say, "Mommy is going to die. The stairs, Mommy is going to fall." This entire experience happened so quickly. We got the kids out and my husband grabbed our stuff and we left. We went over to the Bryce and got a room. I called the rental company and told them we wouldn't be able to come. I didn't know what else to say. I couldn't even begin to explain what just happened at the house. We didn't ask for a refund or receive one or offer any other explanation, just simply that we would not be coming. I've seen things, felt things, heard things, but nothing like this. I still won't go past the house. I want nothing to do with it. I have friends and family say that they want to rent it. I let them know they are on their own because I would never want to go back into that situation again.
In my haunted house series, I talked about the time that I lived a little bit outside of Savannah, Georgia. And I had gone to Savannah quite a few times when I had my first paranormal experience there. I was around 19 at this time, and I had yet to have my near-death experience. So I wasn't fully the medium that I am now because of that. So my partner at the time and I decided to drive about an hour to Savannah and go to the Moon River Brewing Company. This restaurant was also investigated in one of the Ghost Adventures episodes. I did not know this going in, by the way. I was just enjoying the break of not living at home anymore and being out of that house. And I knew the historic history of Savannah, and I knew the gist that there had been ghost sightings, paranormal activity. I knew that it was haunted, but I really didn't give that much thought to it given what I had just come from. Like, anything was a nice break. This restaurant is now closed to financial issues in 2024. They didn't elaborate in the article, and apparently they don't have any future plans for the restaurant. If you've ever been to River Street, then you know exactly what it looks like, but if it doesn't, I'm gonna go ahead and paint the picture. So the river is on the right-hand side, right? Depending on which direction you're coming from. In my case, it was on my right. I would say it was around 8 p.m. The sun had fully set. We were going for a late dinner and we were staying in a hotel nearby. The river's on the right-hand side and then all the buildings are on the left-hand side. And if you've ever been to this city or any big city, you typically know that buildings and apartment complexes and things like that, their windows are reflective. So this helps to not be able to see into people's apartments, businesses, things like that. And the windows act as a mirror. I'm walking down the street. On my left-hand side, they're all the different apartment windows, right? And if you're looking in that direction on the left-hand side, you can see the reflection of the riverfront through the window, right? Acting as a mirror. And I think we were in some like stupid fight or something like that. So we weren't walking next to each other. I didn't want anything to do with her at that time. So she was ahead of me and I was walking a little bit far back. Of course, I'm fuming. I'm thinking it's so fucking annoying. I wish I could go home to my house. At this point, I'm not going to get into that. So I'm walking down the street and I just get this like intuitive feeling that I need to look at the window. I don't know why, but I do. So I look at the window and in the reflection of the window across the street, I see a woman standing there. And she's wearing this very long dress, and it's the type of dress from the 1700s. It has like the collared neck and then it kind of flares right here. Her hair was in a high top bun, she was completely covered from her dress. So like all the way up to her wrists, her arms, her neck, and her dress was very, very long and it covered her feet completely. So I'm thinking, oh, I didn't know there was like a Renaissance fair out here. I'm so fucking stupid. Like, I'm still in denial after all these years. The street is pretty empty. I think it was like during the week. It wasn't even a weekend night or anything. Seeing her reflection in the window, I decide to look over in real time across the street. And she's just gone, like just vanished. And then I suddenly am realizing, like, okay, I just saw a spirit. Even though me and my partner at the time were fighting, I ran to her like a fucking child. I mean, of course she believed me. She was like, yeah, this is like a really haunted place. When we sit down and we get seated near the kitchen, have like the circular windows in the kitchen door. She's sitting across from me, right? So we're having a conversation, we're across from each other. And I just keep seeing like movement through the window of the kitchen. Woman in the kitchen, just kind of going back and forth, right? She almost looks like a waitress, but she's never coming out. Like, I'm just not seeing her. She doesn't look like a busser. She definitely doesn't look like a cook. And I'm just getting like a weird vibe from her. Saw like three other couples that were actually in the seating area, and then there were only 2 people at the bar. I'm pretty sure, like I said, it was during the week. I think it may have been like a Monday or Tuesday, and it just wasn't busy at all. But we're just having conversation with our waiter, and we ask about the history. During the Black Plague, they had to store the bodies in the basement of that building because they literally ran out of room at the morgue, okay? So this is like a historic haunted place. And I just asked him, it's pretty dead in here. Like, where are your other servers at? He's like, oh, I'm actually the only server here tonight. Okay. He's like, yeah, we only have like 1 guy in the kitchen tonight. It's just me, like pretty quiet night. So I stay quiet because I just don't feel like talking about this. I just want to enjoy my cheeseburger in peace for once. Again, I'm seeing movement, and I look to the door, and there she is, just staring right at me. She only stayed there for about a second, and then once I blinked, she went away. I will say she was absolutely beautiful. She was probably about maybe 19, maybe 20. She was very, very young. I didn't get any negative feeling from her. I got the vibe that she just liked to feel a part of, is what I was picking up on. I didn't feel scared or anything like that. It was just a trip to actually see a spirit from that time, from all those years ago, with my own eyes. We later went down into the basement because that's part of the tour, and he said that since we were like one of the only people in the restaurant, we could go ahead and see the basement by ourselves. If you've ever watched that Ghost Adventure episode, you'll know exactly what the basement looks like. But I definitely did not have a good feeling when I went down there. Down into the basement, I could definitely feel, the different energies and the people who had to have their bodies stored there.
She starts climbing the stairs, and to all you naysayers and like people who don't believe in ghosts, you have to check this photo out. I swear, right hand to God, it is real, not doctored at all. So I see when she gets to the top of the stairs down this hallway, a little boy come out of there's a couple rooms on either side of the hallway, but at the end of the hallway, there's a room to the right. He comes out of there. It looked like he had like some type of like a pail of water or something of that nature. And he sets it down and he looks at us. And mind you, this is at 11:30 p.m. at night.
Late.
This is between the tours, right? So you're waiting on the late tour.
Yeah.
Right. And so we just see this. It looked like a boy that in the period clothing that he is not supposed to be in this house. And it hit me. This is an actual spirit. Like, this is an actual spirit. And the first thing was like, oh my gosh, the safety of my wife. I know that most spirits aren't out to hurt anybody, but I was freaking, right? I was like, oh my God, like I see it there. And she stops and she's like, it's fine, it's okay. This is what I see all the time. Like, and I'm like, honey, oh my God. And so but the first thing I do is I take a screenshot of it because I'm like, wait, this is a ghost. Like, this is an actual ghost. We have to take photo evidence. I would regret it the rest of my life if I didn't do this because it's so incredible. So she's a
in the United States. I'm here to show you why. Everybody knows that Savannah, Georgia is one of the most haunted places in the world. And the Sorrel Weed House that you see here is known to be one of the hot spots in Savannah. This picture was submitted by one of my followers, and he was in Savannah doing a ghost tour like many people do when they visit. As he was listening to the tour guide tell the story about the Sorrel Weed House and all things paranormal, he just started taking pictures. And I'm sure you've probably noticed there's a circle up here around this window. I'm going to zoom in for you in just a moment, but see if you can notice anything out of the ordinary. Before I zoom in, I want to show you this picture. This is Matilda Sorrel. She is the wife of Mr. Sorrel, who owned the Sorrel Weed House. And there's an interesting story. I really want you to pay attention to her face because in just a moment, I'm going to show you what she looks like today. The story goes that Mr. Sorrel was having an affair with one of the slaves at the time, and this was taken where the slaves' quarters was. Matilda found out about it. She was grief-stricken, couldn't handle it, and allegedly threw herself off a balcony. Look right up here, and if you go back and look at the picture I just showed you, this is a striking resemblance to Matilda.
Savannah's oldest inn has a ghost to prove it. This inn was originally built in 1790, named after the year that it was completed. It first consisted of 3 separate cottages. In 1820, they caught fire. The 1790 was then rebuilt in 1821 as one main building. It's popular, it's charming, and it's been serving fine dining and housing guests for over 200 years. Every part of this inn is considered haunted, and it's known to have 3 main apparitions that people frequently have encounters with. Room 204 houses the infamous Anna. Anna actually has several different stories, but here's the main consensus. It's said that Anna was a servant who fell in love with a sailor who left her. And upon hearing that, she tossed herself out the 3rd-story window. Some argue that it was her husband-to-be that pushed her, due to him paying for her passage in Savannah, and her being in love with another man, the sailor. Anna is said to be friendly but mischievous, and her favorite pastime is to move items around the room. Miley Cyrus is one of the many guests who have had experiences in this room. In this room, people hear strange sounds, knocks. They've seen a shadow figure lurking around the room, and have even reported being touched. She's also known to be responsible for a laundry list of other paranormal activity in this room. Another apparition is that of Thaddeus, a little boy who stays on the ground floor, often experienced somewhere around the kitchen or the tavern area. A relatively friendly ghost, the story goes that he leaves pennies for people to find. The other apparition is that of a former head cook. He's said to be a rather negative presence and also rumored to have done voodoo when he was around. His presence is often made known by the sound of metal clinking, as well as objects being thrown around the kitchen and at people. There are a lot of places around Savannah that can make you a believer. This is one of them.
Okay, this is how you know when you're in haunted Savannah, Georgia, because people start putting holy oil and put crosses on the doors and on the mirrors. I don't know if you can see that one right there. Little wet oil right there. Then coming over onto this mirror.
That's why the younger you are, the more you need AARP.
I don't know if you can see that. But it's very prevalent on that mirror. You can kind of see the smudge on it, but it's a little hard to see it. And we go like that. There we go. See the cross? There we go. So yeah, and then we got one on this mirror as well, but I'm not even going to try and show it because it's all smudged. But who knows, we're going to check to see if it's on other things, because that was really weird as it's 1 o'clock in the morning. So we find this shit now. Thank you for whoever did this.